The Syrian opposition has dismissed a decree from President Assad allowing a multi-party government system. The law could see the formation of political factions other than the ruling Ba'ath Party. It comes as the UN Security Council condemned escalating violence in Syria, demanded an end to bloodshed and called for internal political dialogue. It's reported the Syrian opposition stronghold of Hama has been overrun by government forces, with witnesses saying there have been casualties. France says it may seek further action from the Security Council if the killing continues. Let's get more on this from political analyst Nabila Ramdani. She's joining me now live from London. Thanks so much for being with us here on RT. Now, what do you think of Assad allowing a multi-party government system there in Syria? How serious do you think the regime is now about change?
Well, I can see nothing positive whatsoever in Assad's proposal to allow opposition political parties. It's far too late for this kind of reform. Clearly, the al-Assad regime, al-Assad is a discredited leader who should step down immediately and ideally face the kind of trial that Mubarak in Egypt is going through at the moment. When you're as a dictator, you have a choice. Either you reform and change society, or you wait for a wide-scale rebellion. It's very clear that Assad waited for the wide-scale rebellion, and the way he's reacting to it is by wide-scale brutality and oppression.
But nevertheless, he has said he is going to reform now, isn't he? He is saying he's going to do what the opposition want, and that is end one-party rule. So therefore, why is it, he's uttered these words, that the opposition has actually rejected that, one of the very things they want?
Well, you cannot, first start, you cannot murder your way out of trouble. And when you try to do that, which he has been trying to do over the past 4.5 months, there's no turning back. And there are several problems with his proposal. First of all, is he offering that the tens of thousands of people who are largely peacefully protesting against his regime and whom he's killing, maiming and imprisoning can now be allowed to be members of opposition political parties? Is he offering free and fair elections, or the kind of rigged contest which he has organized to date? It's very clear that he himself and his bloodthirsty lieutenants are international criminals, and they should be dealt with as such. And also, the new proposal that he is offering is for these new political parties to work alongside the ruling Ba'ath Party, which has been in power since 1963. And after all these years, and after so much bloodshed, it's inconceivable that this can happen. And let's not also lose sight of the fact that while he's offering allegedly a political reform, he's also quelling demonstrations still in a very bloody manner. So this combination of, on the one hand, offering a reform, but on the other hand, keep quelling peaceful demonstrations is not credible at all.
Your thoughts are very much in line with the French. France has just today expressed scepticism about this decree. What should Western nations be doing? Should they be interfering, or would any form of interference actually hinder the situation or help the situation there in Syria?
Well, I don't think that military action is necessarily the answer to the crisis in Syria. But what is noticeable is the change in the mood in the international community. For the first time, we've heard the UN Security Council condemn the violence in Syria in very forceful words. The Secretary General Ban Ki-moon even went as far as calling Assad inhuman, essentially. And he also added that those responsible for the violence should be held accountable. Washington as well had very strong words against the al-Assad regime, saying that Assad himself is not indispensable for the stability of the regime. That's a very strong statement.
Yes, but do these words really have any impact whatsoever on Assad? Isn't it action that's required and not words?
I think in the diplomatic realm, those words are a slap on the wrist, effectively, and they cannot compare with strong actions and strong measures. For example, it's very clear that we're dealing with a criminal leader and with a criminal lieutenants surrounding him. And it seems it's actually quite baffling that the international community cannot do much more to put an immediate end to the bloodshed.
Well, France is also saying that if the violence continues there in Syria, it may seek further action from the UN. I mean, do you think more pressure will help? I mean, you're saying that more action is needed, but do you think really that France is saying the right thing and putting the right pressure, and perhaps this sort of pressure they're talking about is indeed intervention, military intervention?
I think the international community is right to keep putting pressure on the al-Assad government. For example, it should be noted that the new proposal from the al-Assad government to offer political reform and allow opposition parties, political parties to exist, came only a few hours after the UN Security Council condemned the violence in Syria. So it is having some sort of effect on the Syrian regime, but certainly it is certainly not a deterrent. And it might be that military action the threat of military action could be enough to threaten, to put enough pressure on the al-Assad regime. But it's very clear it's a finished regime, but the difficulty is that it hasn't fallen.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for your thoughts. Analyst and journalist Nabila Ramdani talking to us live there in London. Thanks for your time.